Best advice for finding repeat customers. Instead of guessing what I should make to make people happy, I try to think of a design that I would really love. And usually that helps me with procrastination, gets me out of the slump, and also usually ends up in the best design that people actually really love. How to get started with a low budget and where to source materials in the US. The transition wasn't rapid, and that is what I think might be scary for you, because you might feel that you have to be at a certain point instantly. You have to have everything figured out. Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Basia and this is The Art of Metalsmithing, a channel where we talk all things jewelry making and metalsmithing. And today in this video I wanted to answer some of your questions that you've asked me on the community tab on YouTube and also on my Instagram. I really liked your questions and I think there are really great ones. So without further ado, let's jump right in. I have my notes here. Let's start with the first question, which I think is great. Best advice for finding repeat customers and consistent sales. So I think that you can never predict if a customer will be a repeat one, if someone decides to come back and purchase again. It depends on many things, but there are things that you could do to make sure that everyone's experience shopping with you was as great as possible, and then perhaps they will decide to come back because they had such a wonderful experience. And one of those things is building a relationship with your customer, which starts the moment they're the moment they're placing their order with you, and even before that actually. So having clear policies on your website, communicating well with your customer, both on the website before they even place their order, while they're reading through the product listing, they know what they can expect, they feel safe, they feel comfortable, they don't feel like you might scam them, all of these things. And then once they place their order, this communication continues. If something goes wrong, you should communicate fast and clearly. If there's delays, anything like that, but also if everything's great, then you're able to complete your order quickly in a timely manner and then ship it, inform your customer of the shipping, send a tracking info if you have something like that. They add to this experience and someone knows that you are professional. Then another thing is selling quality products. Your customer receives their item and they can see that it is exactly what was listed. So make sure that you're not over editing your photos. Make sure that what your customer is getting is exactly what was on the photo. That colors aren't different, so don't over edit your photos. And then again, everything is clearly listed, so the chain length or the hooks, everything about your jewelry. And then there's things that you can add to your order as something extra. Having a strong brand identity is wonderful, but if you're just getting started and you don't have that yet, you can always use safe colors and just combine them in a way that they will look cohesive, like pink or white and with gold accents or silver accents, little stickers that say thank you or something like that. And what I really like to add to my orders is a jewelry polishing cloth. I think that's a freebie that's really good because not everyone has something like that, and it's good to give it to your customer. And then you can, add extra things. I like to add something extra, like a little bag of tea and a little pouch for their jewelry when they travel, or just to store it safely. And I also add a little thank you note that I leave a handwritten note, and I also add care instructions and contact details. And this is in a form of a little artwork that adds something extra, and the customer could place it on their wall if they want to, or just keep it in the drawer, and it's easily accessible. Yeah, so when your customer is opening their package, it's an exciting and special process. I currently don't do custom work, but I do for my repeat customers. If someone comes back to me, I'm always happy to consider making something custom for them. But if I cannot, I will try to help as much as I can, for example, by sharing a contact to another maker who I trust and who I think would be a good fit for them, so that I don't leave them hanging, I give them something to research. I try to build a relationship with my customers, with the way I communicate, with the way I present myself and my business. I try to show them that it is the way I see it. I want to be their jeweler, like you would have your own tattoo artist or your hairdresser, someone you trust and you go back to, because you know the service that you will get and you know the communication that's, established, and you know what you can expect. So that's my direction, and I recommend treating your customers this way, not as someone who just pops by, buys something once and they're gone, because even if that happens, that's fine, but then someone might come back and you want to have a relationship with them which is professional but also friendly. As for the consistent sales, I don't know if I have a lot of advice to share on this one, because I'm still learning myself and developing and growing my business, but basic things would be to have regular products in your shops, regular updates, always something for people to choose from. So hopefully a bit more items at once, not empty shelves. Unless you're working with collections and this is what works for you, then that's great. But make sure that you keep your social media shelves full, so that your customers have something to follow and watch and look forward to. Frequent updates and again, clear communication. I would consider marketing, paying for ads maybe. Unless you're really good at social media, which is free, then obviously do that. But definitely ads could help you a lot. And I can recommend my friend Megan Collins. You might know her. This is actually what she does. This is what she specializes in. It's consistent sales. So hopefully you could check out her YouTube channel and her Instagram. She shares a lot of information. I know she does webinars and all of that, so check her out. I will link her in the description box below. How to get started with a low budget and where to source materials in the US. So I'll start with the second question very quickly. I have a video on that, sourcing materials, which is mostly US, so check it out. I will link it underneath this video, and it's materials and gemstones. Make sure you check it out. Also, Rio Grande, who's in the US, has kindly extended the discount code for you, which gives you $20 off shipping. Make sure to use my code METALART at checkout. And then second part of your question, so how to get started with a low budget? I would start by picking the most necessary tools. Well, first let me just say that this is an expensive hobby and a career if you choose it as a career. But even as a hobby, it's really hard to go around it and keep a very low budget, because tools are expensive and materials, but you can work with it. And I think by checking if there are any studios in your area that would be clearing out. Maybe a jeweler has retired and they want to get rid of their stuff. Online marketplaces, second-hand items, DIYing. So a lot of my benches, my first benches were just DIY. Again, I will link that video underneath for you to check it out. But before I got professional jewelers bench one and second one, I was working on desks and IKEA kitchen trolley, which is a wonderful bench idea. Which I totally recommend. And you can find it secondhand. You don't even have to get it brand new. And then with tools, again, I wouldn't recommend going for very cheap tools all the time, because sometimes you might end up paying twice. So there are certain tools that it would be best to invest in them, but then you're just paying once. Good quality soft frame, good quality hammer, mandrel. There are budget options, and you can also find some things in hardware stores. These needle files, I got them from my dad, and he purchased them in Jula or something like that. It's just a hardware store here in Poland, and they are quite coarse and they're fantastic. I don't know how much they could have been. $4, $5 for a set of 6, I think. Very good price. And on Amazon, online marketplaces like that, you can find really good options. So maybe I should make a separate video about that, because there's a lot that I could actually share here now that I think about it. But my main advice would be to check secondhand options, marketplaces, renting options. If you really cannot buy these things in the beginning, maybe you could rent a space in a co-working jeweler studio if there's something like that in your area. And with the materials, obviously silver is very expensive, but brass could be a good start. It's not that much more difficult than silver, but I think it's still very pretty and you can really do a lot with it and learn. So you could start with cheaper material or copper, for example. I've started making jewelry, but I don't know how to start selling. When do you think is a good time? A few pieces ready are enough, or a whole collection? That's a great question, and that really depends. I would say the best for you would be to play around and test this for yourself, because it's really hard for me to tell you what to do, because something that works for me might not work for you. And I can see different makers have completely different strategies. Some will make pieces as they go and upload them to their shop and announce it that this necklace is now in my shop available. Some other makers will work on collections and release them from time to time, which is me right now, because I wish I could do this more regularly, but because I'm combining YouTube, content creations, videos, all of that, it stops me from this very regular work. So that's why collections work for me right now. But what I would like to do, which Kendall from the Wild Path Jewelry inspired me to do, is release a collection on a monthly basis, like a June shop update, July shop update. I think that would be great. And I could even have just 3 pieces in that shop update. That would take a lot of pressure off of my back, because when you're working on a collection, you might feel pressured to create a lot of pieces, have a big collection. And also you're wondering, what should I make? People want necklaces, people want earrings, people want rings. If I make rings, what sizes? So it can get confusing really fast. So I think just creating a little bit here and there and updating your shop on a regular basis would be the best way to go. And after a while, you will notice yourself what your customers and your audience want and prefer. I can't find this question. There was a question about procrastination. I think it was something like if I still feel procrastination and if I struggle to work sometimes. And the answer is yes, a lot, especially after a break. So I released a really good collection I was very excited for, and it did very well at the end of March. And I was so motivated and I had so much energy and I was in the flow. I felt like I'm gonna jump right into creating the second part of that collection. And here we are, it's June. And I still haven't released it. Sometimes when there's a lot of things that's happening, a lot of things to do, admin work, I sometimes lose the flow and the procrastination starts. But right now I am back on track again. I am still working on a new collection and I'm actually very excited for these pieces, which helps me break this cycle of procrastination. Oh, and one more about the procrastination and breaking out of the slump. Another thing I do is, instead of guessing what I should make to make people happy, what I should make that people want to see, I try to think of a design that I would really, really love. I want to make something for myself. And I don't keep that jewelry piece afterwards, but usually those are my best designs. When I make something that I would really want to wear, something that, I don't know, maybe I just put my whole heart in that jewelry piece without the pressure. So when I try to make something guessing what other people would like, I'm not saying that my heart is not in that designing process, but it's a bit challenging because I have no idea. I know my target audience, I think, quite well, but at the same time you can never know exactly because someone might like something but not the other thing. So what worked best for me for now was to create something that I would absolutely love and would want to wear. And usually that one helps me with procrastination, gets me out of the slump, and also usually ends up in the best design that people actually really love. And those were designs that sold immediately. Which I was very sad about. I mean, I was happy. I was very happy, but also sad because I really wanted to keep those pieces. But yeah, just making something that I would really, really love. Something that would make me really excited and happy. Probably because I don't put the pressure on myself that I have to sell it too. Maybe that's a good thing. So yeah, next question. Do you use mood board for inspiration? And if yes, how do you create them? Yes, I do. I have several mood boards on my Pinterest. I really like this platform and this app, and I usually gather fashion, art, different colors. That's what I use to develop my own designs. I also save other jewelry, but mostly because of the techniques. So not because I want to copy something, but because I want to come back to it and learn more about the technique that was used and try to apply that in my own work. Different stone settings, etc., different solutions. How did you know jewelry making was for you and not just a fleeting hobby? Also, did you find it scary transitioning from making jewelry to selling it? I think I knew already while I was studying, because I was studying history of art. Well, I didn't know exactly because back then I could have changed what I was studying, but I didn't realize it yet. But what I knew was that I liked my studies, but it was just theory and just theory. And what I wanted was something more hands-on and proactive. So I definitely was missing that making part. Did you find it scary transitioning from making jewelry to selling it? It felt natural because I started small. I started with Etsy shop and I started by selling jewelry that I was already making for a long time, which was beaded jewelry. And I was really enjoying that and I felt really good at it. So the transition wasn't rapid. It wasn't all at once. And that is what I think might be scary for you, because you might feel that you have to be at a certain point instantly and you have to go through all of these steps all at once and you have to have everything figured out. You don't. It's a process and it might be tempting to take some shortcuts, but trust me, it's best to take your time and develop slowly or slower, but having everything sorted and enjoying the process without stressing too much. My leg fell asleep. Oh no. So yeah, to sum it up, make sure that you are taking it slow, having a good plan, action steps, and then moving through them one by one and not feeling too overwhelmed that you have to do all of it all at once. What's your favorite thing to make, and do you keep any of your jewelry pieces? I have a love-hate relationship with my butterfly open rings. I don't really enjoy making them because it's tedious work and it takes so much time. But I really love how they look like, and I really love the end result. So I really love finishing them, and then I really love people's reaction because usually people really love them too. It is one of my favorite things to make, but the process is challenging. So yeah, a love-hate relationship. As for keeping pieces, I did keep a few, but not a lot actually. And I've realized recently that I should probably make something for myself. Finally, I think I deserve it. After 8 years, like a proper jewelry that I really want to keep something for myself. So that's what I'm gonna do. How to create a workspace when you don't have a good space with ventilation. You need to check how well and how much you can open your windows and ventilate your space. And maybe there's a balcony door that you could open. Maybe you could use less toxic solutions. So instead of a more toxic pickling solution for cleaning metal, maybe you could use vinegar and salt. And honestly, today, those simple fume extractors, like benchtop fume extractors, they're not that expensive. So you could look into getting one if it's hard to ventilate your space. But I think, especially in the beginning, when the amount of work that you do is very little, you really don't need anything heavy duty. You can really make do with good ventilation using windows and also small fume extractor. Did you study or work in other places before the jewelry? Absolutely, I did. I studied history of art while I was still in Poland. Then after that, we moved to the UK, where I worked in technical support for a game. Then I worked as an assistant in a children's shop. Then I worked in cafes. So that's where I was slowly progressing to become self-employed with my jewelry business. And way before that, I was working during summer seasons while I was studying, and I was mostly working in hotels because I was studying in remote Scotland, so it made sense to go for a live-in option. And I was doing housekeeping and waiting job in the restaurant or bar, and during breakfast, all of that. So it was very interesting, a lot of experiences, a lot of people. It taught me a lot. And I think I'm quite introverted, so this type of job, exhausts me a lot. But at the same time, meeting a lot of different people, it gives you a lot of experience. And I think it's worth doing. What is it like to transition from small butane torches to a Smith little torch, or vice versa? I haven't done the transition yet. So I won't be able to answer, sorry. Right, I hope you enjoyed this video, these questions and my answers. If you have more questions, feel free to answer them in the comments below. I will do my best to answer. And for now, I will see you in the next video. Bye!